Check, check. Testing, testing, testing. Check, check. Testing, testing, testing. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. I went live about 10 minutes earlier than scheduled because I was ready to go. Since I did start a little bit early, I'm just gonna hit the bathroom real quick before the actual painting starts. And then the people who set their alarms right for 8:30 to catch the mayhem stream won't be upset about missing the very start. That's what I'm imagining in my head. I know it's probably not happening, but gotta use the bathroom, so that's my excuse. Also need to refill the coffee, which is very important. Okay, I'm here. There I am. Hello, Sparkster8044. Okay, I've got the music, background music on. It's just very quiet, so let me know how that is compared to the microphone volume. Hope everyone's doing well. Now let's get the old station set up. The Gundam Master Grade 3.0 kit. I'm assuming you mean the RX-78-2. I haven't built that one myself. I hear it's good. Should be a right proper Master Grade experience there. Of course, it's probably somewhat overshadowed now with the second version of the real grade that just came out. It's looking like that one's pretty fancy. I don't have plans to get it myself, because it doesn't really look like a kit designed with painters in mind. Not that I think Bandai ever designs kits like that. And I'm just re-moistening the wet palette here. This wet palette that's been going on for far too long. Summertime has just been busy like that, and sometimes you just gotta leave the palette for a week or so. I mean, once you get to the point of a Master Grade having a 3.0, I think it's safe to say things are pretty, like, optimized at that point, and you can expect a good modeling time. Now, I don't have any more short summer road trips I gotta do in the schedule for the next while. I mean, you could say summer's kind of almost over. So hopefully I can just do, let's say, 2 to 4 streams after this one and finish up this Barbatos project relatively quickly. Alright, well, I'm seeing my brushes now, and they're just very stained with purple. Just look at that. Okay, anyways, I'll show you some painting I did earlier this week. Painting that I was just recording the B-roll of for the video, not live stream. Kind of like looking for a way to adjust my desk lighting so it doesn't totally like wash out my face. That's the overhead camera, that's the important part, obviously. Okay, let's grab the pieces that I did already, and then I'll probably paint the matching ones today. I might start with this leg, actually, because I've already edge highlighted the purple. I'll think about that one. But I'll definitely show off what I've done so far. Got one shoulder piece done here, so the second round of edge highlights on the black and purple is done. There will be a third round of edge highlights. Possibly a fourth one for the black, not sure. And then I just blocked in the basic freehand pattern. Man, these shoulder pieces really like to collect dust. I mean, all the pieces in general. It's just my air blower, don't mind that. So you can see that purple freehand has been blocked in. It's the same, like, kind of block and pattern, or same style as the turquoise Ariel and the burgundy Gushin Kitbash, because, you know, this one's matching them on the same crew. It's just a purple, different color. And we got the weapons blocked in here, and, you know, the edge highlighting. Saving the final green edge highlights for the end, because that's going to get more of the gradient treatment. And we got our side thruster here. We also did a foot and an arm. Yeah, I need to just... My painting position is going to be like this, so I'm going to shift the camera over a little bit. And let's hope it doesn't mess with the focus too much. So I think what I'm feeling first here is to work on the leg, because I've already done the second pass of edge highlighting on the purple on it. So let's just quickly wrap up the edge highlighting on the black, and then we'll block in some freehand. These pieces are a little annoying to mount to skewers. There's not like a good alligator clip spot, so I kind of just thicken this rod with some poster tack and put it in the hole there. And the second pass of black highlight, no mixing involved, is just straight up iron hull gray. Niche news about P3 paints, by the way. Steamforge Games, who recently acquired Privateer Press's properties, most of them, announced recently they are going to be revamping the P3 paint line, so it's not dying. So that's a good thing, because I think they're good paints. Grill Master Dave, you're halfway through decals on your Kshatriya for like 3 months. That sure sounds like a slog. Water slide decals can definitely be a slog. I feel you there. Sometimes I've had a pretty satisfying time applying water slide decals. Other times it's been like, feels like a never-ending grind. I feel like the music's too loud now. There's a problem with classical music. I mean, the playlist I have going right now, it's like a mix of classical and ambient. Let's just turn that down 5 notches. Just thin this gray just a bit. Grab our haggard and trustworthy, oh man, I don't even remember the name of this brush because the label has rubbed off. You can see there, but it's Gadzooks Gaming. Good. I mean, some of the brushes in the pack have not really been usable at all, but then other brushes I've gotten a lot of work out of. Alright, I'm just gonna take my moist brush and just brush away some pesky dust here. I should probably... Nah, it's like the last stage I can kind of still get away without putting on the glove. If I'm gonna like hold the piece without the skewer, which I did a bit earlier this week, I was wearing the glove though, believe me. You'll be able to see in the footage. Okay. I am loading up the brush now. Guess we'll start at the bottom. Probably have to tidy up some of this later. This is the spot where the line details aren't super sharp, so I'm kind of like carving them out with the brush, so to speak. And you can see here in this part I am like not doing full completion on the edge highlight, just because that's like definitely an area obscured by shadow. So I'm like, for this second pass of the highlighting, there's definitely almost entire coverage on the edges, but I am leaving out a few areas that are definitely like obscured. The third pass for the edge highlights, that's where it gets a lot more focused in terms of like no highlight on this section. It's too obscured by shadow. And as usual, let me know if I need to adjust the camera because the autofocus is going all over the place. Yeah, with the painting I'm doing in these stages now, it's definitely starting to feel like it's coming together a bit more. Usually the stages before this with the base coating and the initial edge highlights is when the model feels the ugliest to me. Or I guess a term many painters will use sometimes is the ass stage of the model. A common experience. Yeah, I am touching this with my hand a lot. Maybe I should wear the glove. Switch to the glove when I get to purple, I suppose. No, there's probably going to be some gray left over on the palette, so maybe I should just preemptively grab some other pieces to get started on. I'll definitely be streaming long enough today to finish more than just this leg. And by finish, I mean get the second pass of edge highlights done, block in the freehand. That's where I've decided to get to before starting or doing the next staged work in progress photos in 360. Gotta plan those posts in advance, you know? If I don't, it's too easy for me to forget to post it all and just paint. Okay, I'm being a good painter and putting on the glove now. Let's flip to the other side of this leg. Ooh, there are some stubborn pieces of dust. Just gonna keep a brush on hand for dust. Sounds like this song is mixed a bit louder than the last one, so let me know if it's too loud. I have the mic a bit closer to my face than usual to compensate. And also just kind of for the painting position I'm in right now. So I hit the mic with the brush less. And I just have to try and do less mouth noises. Because I know people, so I mean some people are into that stuff. But not everybody. Can barely hear it, alright. That's kind of what I was going for. But suppose it wouldn't harm turning it up 2 notches. Got hit with a very strange dilemma yesterday. Perhaps some of you can relate. You know, Gundam Breaker 4 coming out next week, I think. Obviously, a very fun game. Want to play it. You get to, like, cut Kitbash and paint your gunpla in it. And get hit with this weird dilemma of like, this game is fun, I want to play it because I like kit bashing, painting gunpla, but I'm like, oh damn, if I play this game, that's taken away from my time to kit bash and paint gunpla in real life. And it's like, as cool as Gundam Breaker 4 looks, at the end of the day, I think I should, if I had to choose one, I'll choose like kitbashing and painting this IRL gunpla, you know? So that's a nice awkward dilemma. I'll be happy for the people who like don't necessarily have the means to kitbash and paint their gunpla, but can still experience the joy of making their own customs through this video game. And you know, as much as I like the gunpla tabletop games, it's a turn-based gameplay. If you want like real-time action gunpla gameplay using like custom suits you've created, I don't know if there's anything else that can do that. And like with Gundam specifically, I mean, obviously in like Armored Core, you can customize the shit out of your mech. And for this panel at the top, might just focus on the corners. Or like just this top area, I won't do the line fully across. I'll just do like a little nick in the corners. And maybe on the bottom, I'll go all the way across. You know, depending the angle that I'm painting on, I can rest the barbecue or support the piece with the barbecue skewer on my face. Probably looks funny in the webcam. I see some dust I should have brushed away before putting the paint on. I did a good dusting of my room last week too. As usual, my arch nemesis is relentless. Anyone watching the stream a fan of Escaflowne? Been thinking of checking that out recently. I'm not sure if I'm gonna start with just like going through the show standard procedure or watch the movie first, and then if I like that enough, watch the show after. Because, you know, I also gotta watch Dungeon Meshi. I watched the first episode of that a while ago, but me and my friend decided, or we watched the first episode of Dungeon Meshi and the first episode of Freehand, and we decided to go with Freehand and to watch just Dungeon Meshi on our own time. Was the movie any good, Sparkster? Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and start edge highlighting the second leg. I do have the glove on now, so I'm not gonna bother putting this on a skewer. We'll just, when we finish the other leg, we'll transfer this to the same skewer. Just using the moistened brush to get any pesky dust out of here. Yeah, being confused. That can happen a lot with movies that are like a full anime just compressed down. The first time I heard about Escaflowne, it was through seeing an AMV at an anime convention and thinking like, ooh, those were some cool mecha designs. I wonder what show this is. I see this piece was highlighted it a bit crispier compared to the other leg. It looks a bit better, so maybe I'll have to go fix the other leg later. That'll be something to decide in the third edge highlighting pass, which will be like the finishing pass. We'll probably start off by going back down to the base black and just tidying things. Oh, geez, my hand slipped there. It's okay, we can wipe that paint off. Saved. Speaking of cleaning up mistakes. One of the benefits of working with acrylic paint. Is anyone else doing some modeling work this fine Saturday? I assume it's Saturday for all of you still. Oh, we're going to a local convention. Nice. What's that like? Is it local, like small community store, or like local college campus convention? And is it a weeb convention or something else? I suppose we are still in con season. If I won the lottery or something, I would live the high rolling wargamer life and just travel to a bunch of conventions to play in conquest tournaments. I don't think I would do the high rolling stuff like the designer drugs and gambling and all that. The craziest I would get was like probably splurge on some decently fancy restaurants. Splurge on some deluxe miniature transport cases. And when I grew tired of the Conquest tournament circuit, I could work my own game, book some booths at cons, demo my own game. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty I would do upon winning the lottery. Oh, I'd move to a place where I could have enough space to dedicate a room to be like the fumes room, and like set up resin 3D printers and like a nice waterfall airbrush booth. Would definitely need to upgrade my PC to have a better streaming setup. Pop culture convention. Good luck on your search for the Sega 32X and CD add-on. I hope you see someone wearing a cardboard box that says Gundam written on Sharpie in it. Those are always my favorite cosplays. Totally serious answer there. Anyone watching, seen the FX show last year, Shogun? I watched it when it came out, but on the most recent road trip Blue Parappa and I were on, we listened to a good chunk of the audiobook of the James Clavell novel. So that's given me a chance to rewatch some of the show because Blue Parappa hasn't seen it. I'm enjoying it. She's gonna finish reading at least part one of the audiobook though before we watch more of the show. We just watched the first episode. Because the first episode like really blasts through the first chunk of the book. It's a pretty thick book, so lots of stuff has to be cut. As usual. It looks like the camera's lagging a bit. Let's give that the old reset. Yeah, looks like I did a better job bringing out the details on this black panel on this leg than I did with the other one. I mean, it would be funny to just like leave them highlighted differently. Just see if anyone notices. Probably not gonna do that though. I'm too much of a fan of synergy, or symmetry. I mean, I'm a fan of synergy as well, don't get me wrong. My main 2,000 point Spires list in Conquest right now is called the Sovereign of Synergy. And then my 2,000 kingdoms list is called the Bronze Brigade. After this gunpla painting project, I've got the next things planned out that I need to get done painted. I spend a lot of time crunching the numbers, or crunching the list building to figure out what, because I have, well, with my spires at least, I have a fully painted list ready to go right now, but that's like a list where the entire tactic and building it was like, what's the easiest list I can get fully painted ready in time for the tournament? Whereas now I've adjusted it slightly. It's like, okay, I can paint a few more things to get more of an optimized list fully painted. So I've got that planned out for the 100 Kingdoms and the Spires. 100 Kingdoms will probably be finished up first because I gotta finish a unit of Halberdiers and their lord, which already has like been started off camera. And then I just need to paint one more horse and that army is done. There's still like lots of other minis in both armies that will like stay unpainted for a while, but I'm gonna get like those two somewhat optimized 2,000 point lists fully painted, and then I probably won't paint any Spires or 100 Kingdoms for a while because I'll have other stuff I want to paint, like my Nord's army and also some gunpla. Don't worry, I'm not sure what the next gunpla, I mean, I've got this clear colored premium Bandai kit I've been sitting on for a long time that I just want to like casually build on stream. And I have I can't remember which series of Gundam Artifact it's from, but I have the tall geese from Gundam Artifact that I'd like to paint. I want to paint it in sugar candy style, as in like have it be inspired by some sort of sugary snack, like the Nightingale was inspired by the Wildberry Pop-Tart, of course. Okay, I'm just gonna grab, let's see, just gonna grab the other pieces that I'd already like finished earlier that I showed, because those ones I know what the freehand pattern is and it'll be quick to just copy over. So we're gonna get the black done on those. Or at least we're gonna keep painting black until the palette runs out, so don't want to waste it. So that's these four. Maybe I'll leave the arm for now. I'm guessing the amount of paint on the palette, that looks like enough for these three pieces, but the arm might be pushing it a bit. And the arm is also a bit more annoying to paint, so I might just save that for off camera. And these pieces actually, well, 2 out of 3 of these pieces have more convenient spots to clip, to have the alligator clips attach. Shoulder's a little awkward. Kind of have to just like stick a skewer through here. All right, let's brush off the dust. Alright, you can see a similar black panel on the boot here. I don't think these black panels on the other feet had the same issue. I was dealing with the leg just now, where like one leg had the details brought out in a different way. Hello, Super Dexter Murphy, and thank you for the compliment. And thank you for tuning in. It's a pretty nice foot, if I say so myself. Barbatos Lupus's curves lend themselves well to the freehand filigreed style of hand painting that I did on those two projects last year. It'll fit in quite nice to the crew, I think. It'd be hard to say which one will be the leader, because there'll be 3 of them and they're all like medium frame size, and they're all pretty fancy. I don't think Ariel will be the leader. I think Ariel's got like, still has that like rookie pilot vibe. I do have some kits saved for a Kitbash that is gonna get the Gamma Wolves treatment and the filigree treatment and put on the larger base to be a heavy frame. But I don't think I'm gonna be getting to that one for a while, so there'll be an interim leader out of one of these heavy, medium frames in the meantime. Hello, Wally Bien. Hopefully I said your name right there. Alright, this tiny gray box here only needs a tiny bit of edge highlighting. It is recessed, so it won't be getting the 3rd pass of highlights. And even then, those lines are probably a bit too thick. I'll be having to clean that up later in the final stages. I find my painting workflow goes best when I don't worry too much about the mistakes until the project's nearing the end. And I just have like the cleanup stage right near the end. I find that's better than just like constantly fixing the mistakes as soon as they happen. You've never painted a Gundam. Well. You've built some Gundam, I'm guessing? I mean, if you didn't know, I was like, got into the miniature painting like well before I got into any gunpla stuff. And when I first got into gunpla, I was initially like, well, when I want to paint things, I've got the miniatures. So I think gunpla would just be like a hobby just for building things for fun. And I think by the time I think I only built like probably 3 or 4 Bandai models before I was like, all right, I'm gonna try and paint one of these. But then it was probably like a year or so after painting my first kit is when I like actually tried applying my like miniature hand painting techniques to gunpla. Before then, it was just like trying to emulate what I saw most other gunpla builders doing with the airbrush and such. Alright, foot done. Waist thruster. Ah, some not Gundams from China, I see. Well, I mean, best advice I can give you if you're looking to get into painting is to just take baby steps. Try not to cram too many new techniques into each project. Maybe your first project is just like a basic recolor with some rattle cans, because the airbrush investment is a lot right at the beginning. You don't like need to have an airbrush. Having airbrush certainly helps. It's a very powerful tool, but it is a bit of an investment. Oh, that's a burp 1. Coffee burp. Better update the chart or the tracker. Ooh, this piece is hard for the camera to focus on when I'm holding it this way. This one I can honestly forgive the camera for. Sparkster says, what was everyone's first gunpla or gunpla style kit? Yours was the clear version of the Talgies. That's a cool one to start with. Mine was the high grade Striker GNX. I always forget if it's from Build Fighters or Build Divers. I'm pretty sure it's from Build Divers. That was also the first one I painted as well. Although I think I did technically like my very first gunpla was like when I was 12. I got some no grade gunpla and built it with like horrendous nub marks, and it was lost to the sands of time. And I don't remember which Gundam it was. It might have been Dragon Gundam. But yeah, I don't remember if it was bootleg or not. It was definitely no grade. It definitely wasn't the 144 scale. I forgot to give this piece a quick dusting. That line was too thick. Oh well. I'll have to fix it later. Hello, Gerard. Thank you for the compliment. I'm glad I could inspire you. Happy to give you any advice on painting if you're having trouble getting started. And I also just hope in general my videos can help you get started. It's a little much to do like full entire breakdown tutorials for each video, just because I'm like a one-man team, but I still try to make the videos fairly approachable. Now this panel of the black, I'm not gonna like give it a full edge highlight because a lot of it's just gonna be obscured, but we can do a bit. I can't remember how much I did on the other waist thruster. An RC car, that'd be an interesting thing to paint. It's cool how many little offshoots of the model painting hobby there are like that. I imagine in the RC car hobby, there's probably some good tips you can pick up in terms of like protecting your coats of paint for when you inevitably crash your RC car into something. Either that or how to be an expert RC car driver so you never crash into things and chip your paint. It's only the other drivers you got to worry about. That paint came out a little too chunky. That piece will require some cleanup later, but we just got one little section of edge highlights to do before I move on to the shoulder. And that'll be the last boring gray edge highlighting we do today, probably. Ah, painted from the inside. Cool. That makes sense, I guess. Didn't think of that. think Blue Parappa and I have to brave Costco today. But it'll all be worth it for that $1.50 hot dog deal, am I right? Alright, we'll call that piece done for now. Gerard, I use water-based acrylics, a lot of Vallejo, but not exclusively Vallejo. Like right now, for instance, I'm painting with Formula P3. But, you know, this is also a water-based acrylic, so it could be mixed with Vallejo. Like the black is Vallejo. Probably like 70% of my collection is Vallejo paints. And that's mostly because I like they're decently affordable and consistent, and a lot of different hobby shops carry them. Yeah, the Games Workshop paints might be like slightly better in quality depending on which one, but they're not that much better in quality that I feel like the price increase is justified. And also I hate the way the Games Workshop paint pots are designed. Much prefer dropper bottles. It would be nice if when Steamforge like revamps the P3 paint line, they give it like new paint pots, because I'm not a fan of the P3 paint pots either. They're not much better or better at all than the Games Workshop ones. I suppose they're a bit better as in the sense that they're like a bit larger. Oops, camera's not focused, my bad. Yeah, because I work with a wet palette here and I do a lot of paint mixing. I kind of just stick to water-based acrylics. You can't quite like hand paint in this style with enamel or lacquer. I mean, you can, it's just like not as enjoyable for me. I did a video back in 2021 where I tried hand painting with lacquers. I painted a Space Marine. There was some airbrushing involved. And yeah, I accomplished the goal, but like it was kind of a thing I just did for the video to see if I could. And it's like, yeah, I can do it, but it's not like it wasn't mind-blowing or anything, so I don't think I'm going to do it again. Oh, we are past the hour mark on the stream, people. Look at me go. As usual, I'll be shooting for a roughly 2.5 hour stream, with the minimum time I want to reach being 2 hours. Hello, Clayton. Welcome. Thanks for coming by. The red goof. I mean, you can. I definitely have seen people like spray paint on the sprue. The problem is then when you cut the pieces out. Alright, I said sprue. What I mean to say is runner. It's, you know, nice and confusing because when you're referring to minis, people say sprue, but then when you refer to gunpla, you use runner, and they're the same thing. Yeah, you could spray them all black. The problem is then when you cut the pieces out, there'll be like unpainted marks where the nubs are. And then like if you're going to do any sanding, then you're going to like sand away some of that primer. So yeah, and like you can, if it's just like the black primer, it would be very fast to just like spray paint all the runners. Yeah, it really depends on what the painting workflow is going to be. Like the kit I'm painting now, it's getting painted to act more like a statue than like it's not going to be fully articulated, right? So that's the other thing. If you're like spraying all the runners black, you're going to be adding paint to a lot of parts that'll be completely hidden and not visible. So it'll just make the whole kit like a bit tighter. And depending on the model, that can make joints more fragile. Or it can make the model less flimsy, so I'd say like it's only worth painting on the runner like that if you like really want to speed paint something. Like in a lot of other situations, it might do more harm than good. So I guess it depends on what your final goal for that red goof is. Like if you're gonna have a fully articulated custom painted build, I'd say it might just be worth doing it the long way and like cutting out the pieces, sanding them, and then priming them separately on the barbecue skewers. As painful all that extra time can be. But if you just want to like do a quick like custom color job on it and you don't care too much about like imperfections or inconsistencies, you can definitely get away with spraying on the runner. Tiger stripe style camo pattern. Interesting. I mean, if you're going to be achieving that with like masking on the camo pattern, then you probably won't want to paint on the runners because you'll want to like plan out that camo while you can see like the model in its like fully built state. Because it would be frustrating to like mask the camo on some pieces, do all the spraying and then assemble it and like have the pattern turn out a bit wonky because you couldn't like properly visualize what it would look like in the final form, or like do some nice camo on a piece that ends up being kind of hidden. Yeah, having full articulation on a custom paint job is challenging, so I don't do it that often. And it's like usually only worth doing if you're what's the word I'm looking for? If you're using like more durable lacquers or enamels. All right, let's move on to some purple. The janky mix for the second pass edge highlighting is like a dab of model color pink, a dab of this kind of rose pink custom color I mixed up forever ago, which was also used on the Gushin project. And then slightly more dabs of the base, which is P3 Beaten Purple. Before I put this on though, I'm just gonna try and reactivate some of the purple that's left over from last session. Yeah, looks like we reactivated some of those pigments. I mean, you can use any kind of varnish on acrylic. You just like whatever layers you're putting on, it's good practice to give the layer below enough time to fully cure. But I just like use acrylic varnish in general, and that's what I have on hand, so that's what I use. My gunpla projects get 2 coats through the airbrush of Army Painter Anti-Shine Matte Varnish. That's been my go-to for the last few projects. If I paint like a metal mini, which are like very prone to paint chipping, which I had to do fairly often and when I was playing War Machine and Hordes. Just gonna wipe a bit of the paint off the nozzle here. So if I like really want to protect it, I'll do a coat of gloss varnish and then probably like a coat or sometimes 2 coats of matte varnish. Yeah, man, I'm not like super loyal to the Army Painter brand or anything. That's just like a varnish I've had decent results with that is like consistently available at my local hobby store, you know. It does like, I do have to like thin it with, I use like a bit of Vallejo airbrush thinner and then a bit of flow improver as well. Alright, here's some satisfying purple mixing. Yeah, I wish Army Painter would sell their like matte varnish in a larger pot or a larger bottle that was also pre-thinned. That would be great if you're listening, Army Painter. Okay, that looks just a little too bright. I think we need to add a bit of beaten purple. I do have some Mr. Color lacquer varnish. I think it's like semi-gloss. Like, I've used a lot of different varnishes over the year. The infamous varnish that like led to my Sengoku ashtray kind of meme build that got frosted all over, that was Vallejo matte varnish, but I think the main issue was that I was using rattle can varnish and I just went too hard on it. I think Vallejo does have a matte varnish in a bottle, so I imagine if I used that and like thinned it through the airbrush like I did with the Army Painter, I'd get a pretty similar result. But the rattle can of matte varnish, those are risky. But yeah, that I was saying with the lacquer based varnish, I don't use that as often just because like the lacquer fumes, you gotta be more, you can't fuck around with those as much because they're actually toxic. The acrylic, I mean, airbrushing with acrylics definitely adds some gunk into the air. A little burp too. It definitely adds some gunk into the air you want to avoid inhaling, but the fumes aren't like as dangerous as with lacquer. And you know, I have a spray booth and an air purifier and all that, but I still live in an apartment, so I haven't done much with the lacquers in a while. For many reasons, the fumes just being one of them. Yeah, I mean, when I do varnish, I don't use the nice airbrush when I'm blasting varnish through it. I use the, like, easy to clean single action. Although, like, I keep the airbrushing very minimal, as you know, because I'm a hand painting person. But, you know, the airbrush is still great for varnishing and base coating. And so kind of every time I've used the airbrush for the last while, I've just been going for my basic ass single action pash, just because it's way easier to clean and way less likely to clog than my dual action, I think it's a Iwata Eclipse. You know, I like to focus on the hand painting. The airbrushing is an undeniably useful tool, and I have one, so I do use it. Because, you know, priming without an airbrush, or like trying to prime with hand painting, it is possible, but it is just not worth it. It's so tedious. It's like prime airbrush if you can. If you can't do that, rattle can. If you can't do that, you can hand paint your primer on, but only as a last resort. Like, even if you're debating going with the, like, hand brushing on the primer route, I would say, like, see if you have a friend that can, like, prime it for you first. This side of the foot, the base coat was definitely put on a bit too thick. There's some nice particles that just got painted into it. Thankfully, this part will also be getting some freehand to distract from those imperfections. The classic Model Mayhem style. I'm glad you can absorb all my knowledge. That's what I hope to accomplish in sharing my painting work. Yeah, I priming off in the winter time. I can relate to that. Are you also in Canada? Didn't make the GF happy with the airbrush. Maybe you need to get a spray booth then. Spray booth and an air purifier. I know in places like Korea, and I'm assuming Japan as well, there are like studio workspaces where you can like rent an airbrush booth or like pay like a monthly membership fee or something and just have access to like a space to do all your modeling. But that's, as far as I know, that's not really a thing in North America. There's a lot less demand for something like that. Although I'm sure in like dense enough urban areas, like there could potentially be a business model there. Oh, Alaska, yep. That the winters there are worse than where I am. I'm in Alberta, so. Yeah, like priming in the wintertime outside is possible, but sometimes it's a lot easier for things to go wrong. You kind of have to like, I know a lot of people, they'll like plan their priming out seasonally. They'll just like do a lot of building and priming in the summertime, so then when wintertime hits, they don't need to do any priming. They just have like a bunch of stuff ready to hand paint. But, you know, then you run into the issue of like you buy something new and exciting that you want to paint right away. You might have to prime that in the winter. Or get an airbrush. Yeah, I mean, if your GF was mad about the fumes from the airbrush, if it like smells bad or something, that might have been, I mean, it depends what you were airbrushing with. I think it was, I don't remember what company. I remember at a convention once I saw someone was selling a brand of thinner that like was scented to have like a nice scent. And I was like, that's a cool idea, but also it's like, isn't that, you're kind of like boiling the frog. Like if the airbrush thinner smells nice, it won't like bother you as much smelling it, so it won't trigger as much of that instinct response of like, oh, there's a bad smell in the air, this is probably like bad to be breathing, or like this smells like a toxic fume. If you're smelling like, this smells like strawberries, you might forget to open the window to air out those toxic fumes. I don't remember what this actual product was though, so what I'm saying probably needs to be fact checked. Yeah, when I was first looking at airbrush booths, when I was getting into airbrushing way back in like 2015, getting one of the like portable collapsible spray booths into Canada was kind of prohibitively expensive and awful, so I made like a really shitty one out of cardboard and like a tabletop fan and some vent filters. But when I was like ready to start, or when I was like moving again in 2020 and knew I was wanting to go hard on the airbrushing again, thankfully it was a lot easier to get those like cheap airbrush spray booths in Canada, so I was able to get one for like, it's like 130 Canadian or something, and it has served me pretty well. Though, like I said, I don't do much work with lacquers anymore. It's probably like not entirely sufficient for this apartment I'm in to be just using that one spray booth. Oh, the noise of the compressor. Yep, that's the thing too. The minis might smell nice. Yep. I mean, sometimes I can already find the smell of a freshly airbrushed mini kind of pleasing. Or nothing like the fume of a nice Tamiya plastic cement, am I right? Yeah, I have a model painting sized compressor, so it's not too loud, but it is decently loud. And like it does have a tank, but it's not like a massive tank, so it's like when I am painting, that compressor is generally like running the whole time. Yet every time some airbrushing needs to be done, it is definitely requires some planning ahead. For me at least, because like involving the cleanup and the setup and everything, I definitely am like mentally preparing myself a day or two beforehand to be like, okay, Tuesday is an airbrushing day. And sometimes like there might be something which is like not a project I'm working on currently, but I'm like, well, it's gonna need that same color primer anyways, so I might as well like get this primed anyways, put it in like the assembly line of airbrushing. Because, you know, sometimes I'm like, well, I don't want to be doing as much airbrushing in the winter because I can't leave the windows open as long. There's definitely some projects in the backlog box that were like airbrushed, primed, or like initial base coated like a long time ago, being like, I'll just get this done now, and then all I have to do later is the hand painting. And then I just left it in a box for years. But hey, it's not like they expire or anything, as long as you keep them dust free. It's like books. It's okay if you get a book as a gift or something, or buy it yourself and not read it for years. It's not like it's gonna expire. Oh, hell yeah, you got a garage. Nice. That's the modeler's dream there. I do not own a house, and I don't know if I ever will, but that's okay. I'm pretty content with my current setup as someone who focuses on the hand painting a lot. The amount of airbrushing I do is appropriate for the apartment life. I think what I should be worried about more is the amount of microplastics I inhale. And when I do sand, I do, I mean, not all the time, but if I have like a long sanding session, I will put on a mask or a respirator, or like move the air purifier to be set up like right by my desk on full blast. Oh, that line was too thick. Like with the black, the purple will be getting a touch-up phase near the end. But it's definitely will not be redundant to like do the cleanup now, because there's still going to be so much like freehand blocked in on the purple that there's going to be like a lot of cleanup needed and like fine-tuning, etc. Sometimes I like change my mind of the freehand pattern and we'll just start it over. The last project I did didn't have any freehand, so it's taken me a hot minute to get back into the zone. If you don't know, the last project was the weathered Kitbash, where I used some hand painting and some water slide decals, which I hadn't done before. The average mini modeler is only consuming slightly more microplastics than the average person. Yeah, and then the average gunpla builder is probably consuming slightly more microplastics than them. I say that mostly just because like people tend to be a bit more hardcore about the sanding in the gunpla community. depends on how pristine you want your parts to look. Good morning, Cyber Scorpio 94. We got two somewhat small pieces to finish the purple highlights on, and then we'll be blocking in some freehand. I am feeling like I'm gonna need a bathroom break after finishing the edge highlights on these last two pieces here. Yeah, I think probably the majority of microplastics we all consume doesn't come from like plastic models. Probably comes from like water and food. So, you know, very reassuring stuff there, Liam. Thank you for this knowledge. I mean, I'm no scientist or dietitian or biologist or whatever. I don't know who does this research. I just know that some people have discovered that human blood has a lot of microplastics in it, and it's like, that's probably not good. Or I think like if you have like a fleece jacket or something, or fleece pants, you throw those in the washing machine, that is like adding a lot of microplastics to the water supply. Or certain brands of sponges will release a ton of microplastics into the water. Sorry about the autofocus here, and I was jumping around a bit. Oh no. That's not good. We can fix that though with a nice wet brush. Oh, that's rough. Gotta get this brush sopping wet. If you've watched my streams before, you'll know that's not the first time I've dropped the piece into the wet palette. Okay, disaster averted though. It's good, it's good. Or is it? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, everybody. Oh, Clayton, thank you for the $20 super chat. Much appreciated. That $20 goes a long way right now. The ad revenue on my channel has freaking tanked the last year. That $20 is very motivating for me. Thank you. All right, now that the adrenaline is leaving my system after dropping that piece in the palette. Oh yeah, Cyber Scorpio, your blood is enhanced less with microplastics and more with sawdust. Okay, just one piece left to edge highlight, and then I'm gonna take a bathroom break. Glad you think so, Clayton. I'm having the same problem lots of like niche hobby YouTubers are happening this year, of like YouTube's just so competitive. And like hand painting gunpla models or miniatures is just so niche. It's hard to like keep it sustainable. See ya, Clayton. Thanks again for the super chat. And the main reason it was that I dropped that piece in the palette, I think, is because of the way I'm mounting it to the skewer. I should probably find a better way to do that. All right. Now, edge highlighting on the pieces like this can really go a long way in masking the very mediocre seam line removal. Because like with sanding, when it comes to things like seam line removal or gap filling, it's not my favorite part of the process, so sometimes I will rush it. If it was a project that I was like doing a more traditional gunpla build with decals and airbrushing and getting smooth finishes, then I would try harder. But most of the time I'm hand painting. And the hand painting work does enough to distract from those imperfections, as I always say. Also, if it's like a commission, that will also make me try harder, because I'm painting it for someone else, not myself. Like this project is definitely a personal project that I'll be using for tabletop gaming. So it's for myself, less pressure to just perfectly fill all those gaps and seam lines and all that. That is not an enjoyable part of the process, so I will spend only the required time on it. And for once, I feel like I mixed the exact appropriate amount of paint. Because the shade of purple I use for blocking in the freehand is a bit... It's just slightly darker than what I'm using for the edge highlight now. And there should be enough left over after this that I can just add a bit of beaten purple to the mix. Yeah, table saws are freaky that way. That's what would freak me out about working a job like that, or like a job as a machinist or something. Does your shop have those saw stops? I know my dad does like contractor work, so he has a saw stop. And he said one time it actually like kicked in and prevented him from losing a couple fingers. So it's like, oh yeah, definitely a worthwhile investment then. It's like, it will ruin the saw blade, but that's easy to replace, dogs. I wonder how much of my fear purely just stems from the Christian Bale movie, The Machinist. Which doesn't involve a table saw, but like, same vibe. It's pretty easy to edge highlight the edges like this because you just use the edge of the brush along the edge of the piece. So I'm just living life on the edge right now. Ooh, little mistake there. Let's try and mop it up. Also, this is the part of the piece that, like, is probably not going to be visible at all. It's debatable whether I even should be highlighting it. Twice in 10 years, that's pretty good. That makes it seem like you all mostly know what you're doing. I hope whoever invented the saw stop has done well from it and seen the fruits of his labors, fruits of their labors. Okay, looks like we got all the edges on that piece done. So before I move on to the freehanding, I am going to refill my coffee and take a quick bathroom break. Hello, Jukeboxer. Thank you. Okay, I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. What'd I miss? Oh wait, this is my stream. Okay. Now, I could start on the leg, but we're at hour 51. So, I think what we'll do for the rest of the stream is put this leg piece away for now. So I just finished the edge highlighting on the shoulder pad, waist thruster, and foot because I had already finished the other side off stream. So we've got the freehand pattern on these already figured out. So I can easily just copy it over onto the pieces. And then I think that should get me to about a good stopping point for today's stream. But I think my summer road trip activities are mostly concluded for now, so there should be less week-long gaps in this project. So I imagine I'll probably be doing another stream tomorrow. I'm hoping to be done this project by the end of this week, I guess you could say. Hopefully I'll be done it by September. And I'm guessing after this stream, I'll have at least 2 more. Perhaps more. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, color I'm using, or we just need a slightly darker purple for blocking in the freehand. So we're just gonna mix some of this into the leftovers of the highlight on the palette currently. And that should get us to where we need to be. Probably just mix like this half, and then when it runs out, I'll move over to like this half. We'll see. It doesn't have to be. It's not an exact ratio I'm going for here. Yeah, I am just gonna add a bit more onto the other side. We're just gonna get it all mixed up now and just do it in one go. Alright, let's do the shoulder, and now I'm feeling a bit more paranoid about dropping it into the palette again, so I am just gonna go for the slightly more damaging alligator clip. I think this joint, like, the clip will take paint off, but that part won't really be visible, so I think it'll be fine. Alright. So I'll just have the other piece on hand ready to go to copy the pattern. All right, here we go. I'll probably be talking less now because this requires more concentration. And like the freehand shapes on my other gunplas, they kind of start off with a lot of apostrophe shapes. Maybe I shouldn't have had another coffee. Hands a little shaky. Also, thank you for the €2 super chat, Gerard. Much appreciated. Hoo boy, we got a double super chat stream, people. Maybe I'll get 2 Costco hot dogs today, Alright, that section is done. Onto the side. An apostrophe. And on the other side, another apostrophe. Ooh, look, the blocking I did on the the piece originally is pretty messy on that side. Okay, I see what I was doing here. We got a bit of a. Okay, so we go apostrophe here. Which goes into the crack. Ooh, that was very messy apostrophe. And then we have a branching one that shoots out of it. And then we just have a curly line there. Try and paint this one in a slightly different order. Start with the larger apostrophe. And the smaller one. And just a little line. That's a one that will definitely have to be refined more in the later stages. You're welcome, Gerard. Thank you for watching and giving me a super chat. Have a nice evening yourself. I assume it's evening for you because I got a Euro super chat. Find a way to hide the crimes, yep. Adam Savage does gunpla now too. Or yeah, he has done a gunpla. Okay. Looks like no apostrophes on the top bit here. Just some curly bits. Okay, and we curve like this. Use a bit more of a bow to that curve. Or a bit more of a curve to that curve, perhaps. Alright, shoulder done. Let's do the foot next. Mesmerizing, thank you. I appreciate that compliment, Super Dexter Murphy. Good use of English. Okay, let's start at the bottom of the foot here. An apostrophe. With an added little curve at the top there. Now let's repeat on the other side. Same deal. I'm just gonna go side by side like this because it's easier to just like paint the same shape on the flip side while it's fresh in the hand and muscle memory. It almost looks like a musical note. You've only painted 3.5, but now have approximately 100. I think that's pretty common for gunpla builders. I wouldn't feel too bad about that. Yes, Adam Savage definitely did the perfect grade Unleashed. Be interesting to see if he did another gunpla video. He could do the new real grade RX-78, so he could be just impressed by like, wow, they managed to cram that crazy perfect grade Unleashed into like a much smaller body. All right, the top a bit here, we just got 2 apostrophes. One here. And one here. And the same on the other side. One apostrophe. And 2. So when this shade dries, it's not that much brighter than the base color, but that's the idea. It's just blocking it in because the real hardcore filigree happens after with a tinier brush. Oh, you're saying since Adam Savage did it, it's a legitimate hobby? Or it's a more legitimate hobby now? Man, I get where you're coming from with that. Okay, onto the front part of the foot. What did I do here even? This side looks a bit neater and easier to copy. Okay, so I'm gonna start roughly here. I'll just apply all the dots on these first. Got one dot there. One dot up here. Another dot here. Then a dot here. This one is definitely just a single apostrophe, so I'll just paint that in. So then the one at the bottom here, it's a apostrophe, but get down there. And we add another curve to it. Oh, my hand slipped a bit there. It's alright. And then the next one, bring the curve down like that, and then add a bit of another curve. And the next one is a bit more complicated. Next one, we curve up. And then like that, and like that. It's almost an M shape. M for mayhem. Yeah, if someone had never built a gunpla before and then they do the perfect grade unleashed, it would be pretty impressive. I mean, it's pretty impressive even if you've done a bunch of gunpla. Alright, on to the other side, same deal. Well, we're past 2 hours now. Alright, apostrophe at the top, just a single apostrophe. And the next one, it's kind of that M shape. And the next one starts off normally. And then we just add a little bit of an extra curve. And then the one on the bottom, wow, this one's going so much faster than the last one. Get a regular apostrophe and then just one extra curve. Alright, now onto the top bit of the foot. Yeah, the edge highlighting I do is kind of like the opposite of the traditional gunpla highlighting. Your Lego mech addiction, are you talking like those older Exo Force kits? Those are fun. All right. Do the dots first. We get a dot here. A dot there. Go curve. Curve. Ooh, that was a little close to the dot. And then we do curve and curve. Just gotta emphasize this curve a little bit to fill in that negative space. All right, now the flip side, same deal. See if I can get this one to look a bit nicer than the other side. I'll do one shape at a time instead of blocking in the dots. Yeah, that definitely helped. And nothing wrong with the China Lego mechs. I mean, intellectual property theft is wrong, but a lot of the time it's like just different enough that they can't be sued, you know? Oh, I just realized I never did the panels on this part of the foot. I must have forgotten to. Oh, burp 3. Coffee burp 3. Oh yeah, Bionicles are the shit. Have you ever had the dream? I had to explain to someone what that was the other day. The Bionicle dream. It's like, clearly you didn't have Bionicles growing up. Okay, well, let's just come up with a shape to put in this block here. Something, maybe let's do, put the dot to the apostrophe here. Doesn't need much. I think we'll just do like a basic apostrophe shape with a bit of an extra curve at the end. Yeah. Easy. All right, now we just need to get this on the other foot. Which part's been more satisfying for you all to watch? Was it the edge highlighting I was doing earlier, or is it the more slow teeth clenching freehand bits? Or do you find watching like the base coat painting the most satisfying? Because that's understandable too. All right, feet completed. Onto the waist thruster, and we'll see. I feel like by the time I'm done the waist thruster, I'll be at a good stopping point. Because I do have some chores to take care of today after all. I should be able to lock in the time for the next stream before this stream ends, so I can let you all know when that's gonna be, provided I don't have any last minute scheduling things come up. Let's just re-moisten the paint here a bit. Don't want it developing a skin, you know? Alright, now the waist thruster has much larger, flatter panels than anything else. I think I'll probably take it off the skewer. Just for some better control. Alright, on the back of the piece here. Got a pretty large apostrophe. Slightly smaller apostrophe. That has one branching out from the same stem. I think before I do that though, I need to get the this other one blocked in just so I can get the curve right. Might be a bit too much negative space there, but I am more or less just matching what I did on the other. There, and then this last piece is one apostrophe with a quite extended squiggly line. I think that's good enough for the blocking in stage here. Hello, Bob One's God. I do enjoy me a good purple. I think I've said before, probably if you collect all the model painting projects I've done over the years, probably the colors I've painted the most are red, blue, and purple. Green's probably in there as well, pretty high up. Alright, now onto the main facing side here. And the classical music playing fits the filigree painting well. Not my cleanest apostrophe. Okay, let's see. Well, let's start at the narrow end here. Yes, a good old Warframe. Alright, well, we've copied this panel according to the other one. Part of me is a little on the fence of the pattern I chose there, but we'll stay committed to it for now. Can always change your mind later. Alright, now for the biggest panel. Hold it this way, it'll be easier to copy the reference piece. Okay. Where does this one start? Roughly here, but okay, well, I'll start with the dot. Curve in towards, oh, okay, so we going like this. Swoop. Could make the Bob Ross noise that he makes when he like adds a tree to the canvas. He goes like whoosh, or something like that. Like a little whistle. And that curve was a bit too wide. Just about there. Alright, that's a good enough match for this stage. Let's see, well, I'm at just at about 2.5 hours, so I think my hand is shaking enough that I should probably... Happy little squirrel tail. Yeah, exactly. Good one, Super Dexter Murphy. So we're going to stop painting now. Very happy with the progress made in this stream. I'm going to pull up my calendar now so I can let you all know when the next stream should be. Nice, glad you could be a good Warframe senpai like that. Take off this sweaty ass glove. Okay, let's see here. Alright, I think I will plan to do another stream tomorrow morning. Yeah. Because the rough schedule I have laid out for myself in general just throughout the fall is to like alternate between mornings and nights on the weekdays. Weeknights, I'll do like Monday night, Tuesday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, break for the weekend. I did stream this weekend just because I had a week away from various summer plans. So I'll do one tomorrow, and then like starting tomorrow, ideally, that's when I'll be like switching between like morning and evening. So I'll tentatively plan one for 9 a.m. tomorrow. and I hope you can join me. Okay, well, thanks again for coming, everybody. And expect probably 2 more streams, maybe 3 for this project. And I hope to just like make streaming a regular thing. With how my job search is going, there is still no consistency to what my proper video upload schedule is. There will be a video for the Barbatos eventually, but I got lots of stuff I can always like work on during the stream. After this gunpla project, there's a lot of mini stuff I want to get done. Yeah, thanks for watching, Super Dexter Murphy. Anyways, I'll call it there.